Errol Spence is a big welterweight. The problem there is I do think you'll see Errol move to 154 maybe in the next 12 months. But then, is he going to get to 160? And is Canelo? I mean, Canelo didn't request a rehydration clause with Callum Smith, not because he was concerned about what Callum Smith was going to weigh, probably because he didn't want to have to weigh in himself the next day. But you know, those kind of guys, when you have a star name, it's a bit like when Kell Brook jumped to middleweight to fight Gennady Golovkin. Sometimes you need to fight a name like that to make the payday that doesn't exist outside of your usual challenges. And for Errol Spence to fight Canelo Alvarez, it's the only way, in my opinion, he's going to make that kind of money. He's not going to fight. He's not going to make it against Terence Crawford because I don't think the fight's big enough. And by the way, I think he said tonight he wants 60-40 or 70-30. So obviously that fight's not even going to happen. So, but Errol Spence is an amazing fighter, you know. But it's going to take something to beat these kind of guys. You know, to beat Crawford, to beat Spence, to beat Canelo. You know, you're going to have to do something a little bit crazy. But if it's crazy, the money's got to make sense. I mean, and it's great to see him tonight, and great to see Teofimo Lopez. I mean, what a character he is. Fantastic for the sport.
His dad too.
Oh, great.
But Eddie, what makes Canelo so special from your perspective? There's a lot of amazing fighters in history currently. What do you see in him that makes him different?
As a fighter, I think the communication he has with Eddie Reynoso is quite special. I think when you have trust like that in your trainer, I think that's a very special gift, and I think that's a big string to your bow. I think his jab is spectacular. I think his movement is phenomenal. I think his shot selection is great. I think he has tremendous power. I think he has an incredible chin. I think he's really tough. And like great athletes, especially fighters, when you make that kind of money, yet you still have the desire to work as hard as you did when you first walked in the gym, and you still want to prove yourself, and you still want to take challenges, that's called being in love with the sport of boxing, and that makes you really dangerous. If you can stay at the top of the sport and not be doing it for the money, and you're as good as that, you can't be beaten. The minute you start falling out of love with it, the minute you start thinking about the money, the minute you're only doing it now because there's a huge payday, you become beatable. And I see similarities in the mindset between him and Joshua, because when I go back to the change room after the fight, all they're doing is talking about the fight and what happened in this round and how they improved, and did you see it when I did this? And they're in love with the sport, you know, and they're both incredibly well fit, and it's a blessing they have, and it's called competitors. That's what they are. They love to win. They're winners, and they're very difficult to beat when you still have that desire, because you should get softer, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know, you should all of a sudden say, I don't need to hang in there when it gets tough anymore. But they love it, and they're pure fighters.
Thank you.